But talking about the dark side of music, my man, two people.
I don't know what people. It's a bunch.
It's a bunch of people.
It is.
Let's get into it.
Oh my gosh, it is a bunch of people.
It's a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Chris Brown got arrested.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
What did he get arrested for?
I didn't get to see. I saw it right before we came, but I didn't see why he got arrested. I just saw he got arrested.
But the crazy thing was before he got arrested, he said free Tory Lanez.
He did.
Right.
And I guess everybody wants to be sympathetic because Tory got stabbed up.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I probably about 20 to 25 episodes ago, members of this podcast, which I won't say who, was pro Tory Lanez.
I am still pro Tory Lanez.
I never said who it was.
I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. I'm pro Tory Lanez in this situation.
How are you pro Tory Lanez? That's what
because
I
don't just listen to random facts and lies from people and make an assumption and an assessment about.
But how do you know what is random and what do you know is a lie?
How do you know it's real?
Okay, how do we know that it's real? 2 eyewitnesses reported the real story of what they saw happen. Those testimonies were dismissed because they did not fit the narrative that was being presented in the courtroom, which was that he shot
the friend and the bodyguard,
which is that he shot Megan Thee Stallion, which 2 eyewitnesses had reported that they saw 2 women fighting and saw one woman brandishing a gun and one man trying to stop another woman from using the gun. He knocked the gun went off in addition, and he was labeled as shooting Megan Thee Stallion. They found no gunpowder on the man's hands. They ain't got no evidence that he was holding a weapon and nothing like that. Nothing points to him shooting her in the feet. But he was convicted of the crime because of the court of public opinion. Because people hear Tory shot Megan, and they get on their high horse about domestic violence and stuff like that, and then they consider someone guilty. So the court of public opinion had a lot to do with why he was convicted the way that he was convicted. And he was charged with a firearm that he apparently didn't even own. He wasn't supposed to be in possession of, but he wasn't in possession of it.
Well, if it's in the vehicle, they can.
I'm saying, but he wasn't in physical possession of it.
I understand that, but
I get the language of how the court system works.
Right, per the book. You know what I'm saying?
I get the language of how the court system works.
I do believe opinions did come into play a lot with that particular situation just because of everything else that came out. Him potentially knocking both of them down and a lot of that kind of stuff that came about. And just watching the documentary that I think it's on Prime that they produced with Meg was going through all of that. It definitely paints the picture vastly different in some ways, and the best friend, all that kind of stuff. So it's a lot of different factors that come into play. But yeah.
We don't listen. I'm gonna tell you right now. We don't know the true story.
We do know
the
true story.
We don't know the true story because I'm gonna tell you why.
We know the true story.
We can hear everything you just said.
Okay.
Why do we have a recording of Tory crying and apologizing on the phone?
Because he probably saw Sinners right before he called her, and then he felt convicted and wanted to say
Sinners
something.
Won't even. Sinners won't even out.
But look,
he said, "I'm sorry for."
He said he was sorry for the situation because taking into account what was going on. Right, I put you through it. I smashed your best friend.
He could have been talking,
I thought he could have been talking about
exactly.
He didn't get on the phone and say, "I'm sorry for shooting you in the feet."
Right. I'm sorry for knocking down your people.
Okay. Well, I will say this.
Which is a crazy apology if you really think about it.
What's that?
I'm sorry for knocking down your people. Can you forgive me? Like, I'm sorry. I mean,
listen. And here's the thing: the people. If you got knocked down and you know I'm knocking down this other person, you can't.
Troy. Okay, so we say we don't know the true story.
We don't.
You say that. We know the story. It just doesn't sound like what people want it to sound like because they want him to be guilty that bad. The fact that Kelsey had to get immunity to not do anything or to speak in the trial says a lot about what actually happened. Why do you need immunity if he's the one that did it? And this is your homegirl, whether y'all got falling out or whatever it was, why do you need immunity if you didn't do nothing?
Okay. I think my argument is actually something else because I don't disagree with what you're saying. I didn't know all these facts. And if those would be true, it kind of points in one direction. Okay, I will give you that. I think my argument is more so on the side of Meg was the victim and then was made the villain. Right. That's the part that
she was made the villain because she lied.
She didn't.
And when you lie,
she did it.
She did lie. Girl got on national TV and lied.
That did happen.
And lied
about what?
Gail asked her directly, were you and him in a relationship? Were you having sex, whatever it was? She sat there and lied and said, no, we were not in a relationship.
That has nothing to do with it.
But it does.
It don't, though.
It does.
And honestly, did she lie for herself or
it
for
don't
him
matter
or
why
for
she
both
lied.
of them?
See, that's the point about lying.
Somebody lied in this whole situation.
Yeah, and we know who.
You know what? Matter of fact, I'll say this. Everybody lying. And everybody's sinners.
No, one person's telling the truth.
They did watch the movie. Like, apparently.
Everybody's sinners.
Everybody's sinners in this joint.
One person's telling the truth, though. And two people are lying. And we know who the two people that's lying is. Neither one of them is incarcerated right now.
I would say this. Somebody does know the truth. I would say all of them know the truth. Mm-hmm. But none of them will reveal it. And I don't think that the person who got shot should be made the villain in this whole because one thing is she never snitched. She never said who did what where, and she did
because she said that shot me. Those were her exact words. That's a direct quote.
But she ended up having to say that based upon.
She didn't have to say that.
She did though, because she didn't say that immediately. She didn't.
And N-word could be anybody.
And why did she not say it immediately?
And N-word could be anybody.
And why did she not say it immediately?
She was obviously trying to cover up for him.
Cover up for someone that didn't do nothing?
Again, we don't know.
we don't know.
She said Come on, bro.
We don't know.
Come on, bro.
We don't know.
It is a scientific fact that when you shoot a gun, you will have gunpowder residue on your hand for at least 2 days.
Which is true.
At least 2 days. None whatsoever were on the man's hands.
Circumstantial evidence.
None whatsoever were on the man's hands, and he won't wear gloves.
But the thing is, though,
that's
you
the
don't know that. You won't. Mel's saying it like he was there at the party.
Well, see, when you pay attention, to facts and reports, and you pay attention to police reports and stuff like that, they have to release all this information.
But hear me out. We know that, particularly in our community, what you're saying is true, but it don't apply to us. So when we talk about, look at all the people who have had convictions overturned based upon DNA evidence 30 years later.
Yeah.
Based off of what somebody said or this, that, and the third, whatever. So we know that certain rules don't apply to us in these situations. So the first thing that he said, well, check my hands. No gun residue. Oh, that don't matter because this is what...
Which does matter.
But what I'm saying is the rules don't apply.
I get what you're saying,
to us,
and I'm saying that's why it
scenarios.
matters. And not the court of public opinion. They had to change jurors a handful of times because they didn't want people that were tainted.
We talk about this to say Tory Lanez got stabbed up.
Right.
And P. Diddy is also in jail
too.
No,
you got to finish it. Because you about to move on. That's only half of the story.
Yeah.
That's only half the story.
Tell me the rest of it then. What am I missing?
He got stabbed. The conspiracy is that he was stabbed in prison because he had, before that, reached out to the Rock Nation team about new evidence that was being brought forth about his conviction because Kelsey's bodyguard finally came forward.
Yeah, I saw that earlier.
And said that he was going to tell the truth about what happened that day because he was feeling guilty about holding on to it. And he said equivocally that Kelsey was the one that shot Megan and Tory didn't have nothing to do with it. Mm-hmm. And they were trying to introduce this new evidence to his case, to obviously his defense, to get out of it. And that was reported that after he did that, he was stabbed up. So it was a attempted assassination. That's what they say.
They're gonna try to.
That's what they're saying. But I don't know if that's the series or current occurrence of events. I know that it was reported after he was stabbed that her bodyguard came forward, was saying that he felt guilty and wanted to give his account of the situation. So I don't care which order it went in. If it went after he got stabbed and he had to say something, I think he's a hoe. And if you knew that, and you was holding on to it for no reason, you should have been said something.
Right, no, I agree.
You gonna let him go to prison knowing that he didn't do nothing wrong?
Yeah.
And now because he got stabbed while he's in there, now you feel guilty enough to say something because the almost died. But if he would have did the 10,
right, and
nothing happened to him, you would have lived with that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You could live with sitting there and watching a black man be in prison for something that he didn't do, and you know the truth,
right,
and don't say nothing. I think that's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
Well, I mean, we can also say that the person who is the culprit should have came up and said something too.
She should have, but I'd.
But immunity is real.
I don't exactly, but I don't expect.
But that's how
a guilty party to come speak up on to tell on themselves.
But the thing is, that's how you know the system is completely flawed. Somebody who potentially did it gets immunity, whereas somebody else goes to jail. Where somebody, I will give you less time. Crime is the same. You talked about modality of things, right? Yeah. Crime is the same. We both kill somebody.
I'll give you less time.
I can do less time
if I just say so. If I just say I did it,
it makes no sense. It makes no sense. Honestly, and I'm trying to figure out how I can say this appropriately. But just from like watching a lot of detective work, detectives are trash. Like it's just like, yo, what do you be doing? Because like all this new evidence that come years back down the line, and this, that, like
How
what
did
was
you
you
miss
doing?
that? How did you miss that?
Because
Yeah.
the court of public opinion, people just assume that you guilty. When they supposed to say that people are presumed innocent until proven guilty, people are assumed guilty until proven innocent.
That's true.
And that is what happened in this case. A lot of it was the court of public opinion.
What it do though? It's your boy Dr. Life Coach Lace, aka NBA Old Boy, aka I'm him, aka the menace no relation to Dennis. Look, stop what you're doing because I'm about to ruin. We need you to stop what you're doing right now. Subscribe to the potty. We know you love listening to us. We bring a lot of great content, great conversation, a lot of fun, jovial conversation across the board. So tap in with us. Make sure after you subscribe, please like so that we can showcase that you care, that we care for you, and that we bring in the heat to everything that we do. So lock in with us, Manly D's Podcast. Share it with your entire community, your entire network, because we bringing the real to the real.